Hi everyone, welcome to Dear BAMf, the show for PR and marketing pros like you, hosted by Beck Bamberger of BAM. BAM is a communications agency that believes stories move the world. We move stories forward for technology-driven brands that challenge, change, and create entire industries. Today, on the Dear BAMf podcast, we're talking with Liz Prugh, owner of her own consulting firm, founder of PureFandom.com, and former VP of Marketing at Base. Liz is a self-proclaimed tech geek, blogger, screenwriter, producer, SaaS marketer, and aspiring fierce female. Let's dive in.
Welcome, everybody. This is Dear BAMf, the podcast for advice for comms, marketing people who are navigating the insane world of clients, media, communications across pretty much everything. Whether you have VC clients, tech companies, all types of different clients and such. So we're going to get into some advice questions today. But first, I'm Beck Bamberger, founder of BAM, which is an agency, as well as One Pitch, which is a platform for PR people. And today with us is Liz Prugh, who has a consulting firm that she's going to tell us all about. Welcome, Liz.
Hello. Welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
I want to hear, Liz, about your agency, what you're handling. I know you used to be at Base, which we mentioned just a second ago, but what are you working on now?
Yeah. Thank you for calling it a firm or agency, but it is a solo operation. But you know what? We need to pat ourselves on the back for rocking solo.
I think, yep. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, my tech journey started, I'm a SaaS marketer. Yep. And my tech journey started, I was a bartender at PF Chang's because I graduated during the recession. So it was like, what do I do? Yeah. I'll bartend. I was like a server trainer bartender person, and they were an exact target client, which was an email marketing platform that was acquired by Salesforce. And before they were acquired, I was like, what is exact target? And my boss was like, oh, they're like a block away here in Indy. They're like some email company. And I was like, okay. So I applied there working part-time and then, like most of us in tech, it snowballs and you
find things. Yep.
Exactly. And I fell into marketing, and I worked there for years through the Salesforce acquisition. And then that acquisition was great for Indianapolis, where I'm based. It spurred so many startups.
Yeah.
It spurred High Alpha, which you had Drew Beechler on your podcast.
Yes, we did.
Yes, I work with him a lot. And so I'm able to work with all these wonderful, wonderful SaaS startups and help launch their early stage marketing. It's just something that I really, really enjoy doing. It's how I met Base. And with things, like hopefully I'm crossing my fingers, picking up with the pandemic and people staying healthy and things opening up, I'm able to jump back into my consulting again. So yeah, it's been fun.
Excellent. What would you say you're most proud of then in the last, let's say, 12 months here? It's been a gnarly 12 months.
Co-parenting, working with my amazing husband with our toddlers at home.
Toddlers.
Pandemic. Toddlers, yes. And then we have a lovely surprise on the way, COVID surprise this fall.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yay. Oh, that is a lot. That is a lot, Liz.
It just, I'm very fortunate to where my husband and I both kind of thrive on chaos. And I think this happens with every pregnancy I have too. I'm like, I just got to get shit done. And so I think we looked at this opportunity as, if not now, then when? So it was, I think with Base specifically, very proud of and the team there is amazing, but I started consulting with them again after my last maternity leave, like 2 weeks before the world shut down. So last March, they were preparing to launch more like a full suite of their platform, which is executive software for assistants. And then the world shut down and it was like, no one was buying anything. People were getting furloughed. But we really wanted to provide this platform for assistants. So we rolled out a freemium version, and we went from 0 to 4,000 users. We launched a big live streaming strategy that was free for assistants and office administrators. It really blew up. It was great. We hosted this virtual conference where we had, I think, 17 different panels from some big time influencers. And I streamed all this through Facebook groups.
Wow.
Using a tool called Restream, and we had 4,000 people register. Like
Facebook
awesome.
groups? Really?
They've like blown up. I come from the blogging boom. Like I was one of the early BuzzFeed or Tumblr blog people. And Facebook groups were like,
they've done a lot of ads recently on the groups. And I'm wondering if like, is that the strategy? It's like, okay, if we're not going to dominate as like the preferred platform just to post whatever on here, okay, is it where you could find your very niche little weird groups? Because I keep seeing like messages for that, which I think could be a smart pivot or focus for them in the crazy arena of social media.
And it's a really good way to, and I know communities are huge right now across the board, but it's a really scalable, affordable, easy way to build a community, especially for like an early stage startup where if you're wanting to test your ideal customer profiles, your audiences, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be an audience for what you're selling on Facebook, existing groups that you can tap into and kind of guide towards your own group. And within Facebook groups now, we connected our live streaming tools so you can host these live streams, and they were like killer quality. And we use this tool called Restream. It's $19 a month, and you can hook all your fancy stuff up to it if you want or not. There are different units where you can house all your resources and your guides. I mean, honestly, on accident, we had more traffic going there, as much traffic going there than we would outside of like SEO driven traffic on our website.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because it's just like you're kind of meeting people where they already are.
Yes.
And for assistance in particular, Facebook, which is why we chose Facebook initially to launch our community, that's where they live. So that's whenever I consult my clients and they're like, well, I want to build a Facebook community. I'm like, okay, but is that where
your demo is?
Right. Your believed audience is.
Wow. Okay. Did not think about that. That was great to hear. Is that then, well, our next question is your favorite way to tell stories right now, but maybe that's your favorite platform perhaps. But what other ways are you finding traction with storytelling and where are you doing it?
Well, over the last year, it's really been live streaming. And I know that's really hot right now.
Yes.
But the cool thing so right before that, for my clients, I was doing right before COVID, a lot of podcasting. And a lot of the storytelling was with the goal to drive top of funnel or nurture big time leads. So like I was just telling about my husband's company, PackSafe was just acquired by Ironclad. And when I was doing their podcast a couple of years ago, which is crazy because it feels like it was yesterday, but with COVID, that has now been 10 years ago.
Yep.
We would, there would be these big brands that they would want to speak to and these big influencers. And sometimes when you reach out to these folks it's really hard to not come from a sales perspective. And that's a big turnoff. So it's, hey, we actually want to highlight your wins. Let's have you on this podcast. And PackSafe's CEO at the time is a lawyer. And so to have that like GC to GC kind of relationship was great. So I would say anytime you can have some sort of organic conversation, that's my favorite. Podcasts or live streams. And with live streaming now, before you had to be real savvy, like it was really hard to do that.
Yeah, true.
And now it's easy. So anyone can do it. And if it's like positioning a good blog, what's your headline? What's your subtitle?
Yep.
Why are people going to listen to you? Look at TikTok. I mean, you can hop on there
learn anything.
Like learn anything. I'm a big nerd. I have a pop culture website I've had for the last 10 years that I do on the side. And I would spend hours on these like Marvel theory articles. And now you have people on TikTok giving you just as much information in under 40 seconds.
I know. So, isn't that kind of, to me, it's a little stunning how much, especially like a TikTok, which of course didn't start out in any vein or shape or form versus like a LinkedIn, which would make sense for learning to happen. But there's such a gravitational pull to learn. People want to learn. I don't care if it's applying lipstick or you want to learn about critical race theory. You can find on TikTok. It's really something.
I don't think and this is coming from someone, like I said, I felt fairly savvy over the last 10 to 12 years. I was big on Tumblr and That's how I became an entertainment journalist. It led to my career in SaaS marketing. But I went to, I don't even know, look, I'm already dating myself. I went to like make a TikTok just to see what it would be like.
and how was it?
I said, absolutely not. We are not doing this. I am now at the age where I will hire an 18-year-old to do that for me. I don't know how to do it. And I don't think I need to. I will consume all day, but I'm good on the creating, on the TikTok.
I feel you on that. I'm like, I don't need to participate. All right, Liz. I think we're children of the 80s, perhaps.
Yes.
All right. Well, Liz, we have quite a few questions here, so let's get in here.
Yeah.
The first question, let me just check. Okay. First question is, Dear BAMf, I was recently listening to a marketing webinar and one person said, we usually spend so much effort creating all this great content and only half the effort, if that, on promoting it. This stuck with me as I had content and marketing for my startup as of 10 months. And thus far, we've been creating about 10 pieces of content a month on a consistent basis. I'm wondering if this is just too much and it is almost cannibalizing other pieces. What are your thoughts and how might I squeeze out all the promotional value out of a piece once we create it?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, a classic.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead first.
Okay. Well, first of all, and if I were to come in and look at, like, if I have clients tell me this all the time, if you're churning out 10 pieces of content a month, in my opinion, that should be tied to some sort of SEO strategy. And you have like some 6-month thing tied to that.
Yep.
And you're aching for keywords. Additionally, whenever you create a piece of content, if you're looking at building out your top of funnel and you're wanting to drive leads, the first thing I would do is say, okay, you want to make sure that you are speaking directly to your audience and your user, because a lot of times I see folks say they'll use, I'll try to think of an example here, but especially with startups, they'll use that fundraising narrative in their top of funnel messaging.
Yeah.
And those can be very, very different. You know, the fundraising narrative is like, here's this big vision, this huge problem we're solving. We're going to be the next, I still hear people say the next Uber of whatever. But half the time your user doesn't really give a shit about that. Mm-hmm. How are you solving their problem?
Exactly.
So specifically, what pain points are you solving for? And I would start there. And again, this is to help drive your top of funnel. And then from there, you can do that a few different ways. So if you're doing a webinar, even if you have a great topic, in my experience, I've had the most success when I pair that topic with an already known entity. So an influencer that's spoken on something similar, that has a huge newsletter list, or that has a big social media presence, or wrote a book on it, whatever. Tie something like that to it. So that way, well, it takes away a little bit of the prep. You don't have to worry about, am I going to waste $1,000 on ads? They either work or they don't. And then it also gives you a really good pool or an audience to test this content on. Like, hey, we believe this is a really big pain point for our user. And a lot of times you're not going to know that until you're talking to 50 or 100 people and saying, is this actually what you want to hear? Is this is this the problem we should be solving for? I know a lot of people have moved away from surveying folks after webinars, but say it'll take less than 10 seconds and throw 2 questions on a Google form. Do something to follow up is a big piece too. So a lot of people will say, well, I spent a lot of money on this webinar. We didn't really see a lot of success. Well, what did you do after the webinar?
Exactly.
Well, we didn't see a lot of leads. Okay, well, all those people should have been, they should have been thrown into a nurture track. Mm-hmm. People just get busy. I hadn't been on, because I've been spoiled with like a full-blown HubSpot suite for a while. And then now I'm working with my startups again. And I'm like, okay, we got to get scrappy if you don't have that like startup discount, HubSpot discount yet. And I was in MailChimp. I've been in MailChimp the last couple of weeks, and they have like these journey things now. I know the J word in marketing is like annoying.
Yes.
But they have these really nice workflows to help you segment folks based in like tagging. So that way you can start to do some hyper targeted and personalized marketing with your top of funnel pool. And that'll help too with that content. So if you are putting 10 different types of content up a month, make sure you have a conversion point tied to that. and then make sure you can measure that. So if someone wants to opt in just to learn more info, make sure they tick something about what they want to learn more info about. And then that's automatically organized for you in whatever marketing automation platform you're using. And then you can set up your nurture emails with that specific focus. Because I feel like people are saying, well, that messaging didn't really work. And it was like, well, if it only worked for a few people, 20% of your leads, those other 80%, you could still solve for a lot of their problems, but it may just be something different. So start to segment out those audiences. There are a lot of free tools out there, or really affordable tools that you can do that with now that maybe you couldn't even really a couple of years ago.
Very true. It sounds like this person with the 10, I mean, my God, I hope this person isn't responsible for all 10, but battle it out in a sense. Tee it up with tracking what's doing what, where are you getting those leads, all that good stuff. And then you can cull it from there. If you have a piece that's really not doing anything or driving anything and there's no justification for it, in other words, it's not impressionable to your potential talent or your VCs are never reading it or whatever it may be, then okay, then slice that off the list. So maybe you can get down to maybe 5 pieces of content a month that are more extensive and more teed up or something like that. But it seems like you could do some editing. Is basically it.
Absolutely. And my other concern then would be for this person is, when do you have the time to analyze the performance of all these
There's
campaigns?
your other question.
So once you can do, like, start small, and once you can do that, then you won't fall into the trap of, well, I did 10 pieces this month, I have to do 20 pieces this month. It's, okay, these 2 pieces worked really well last month for X reason. I'm going to use that data to influence the campaigns I'm doing this month. And then it starts to funnel into, how is marketing supporting sales? So if sales says, hey, I'm forecasting $250,000 ARR this quarter, you can look at your campaigns and say, okay, how many leads did each campaign bring in last quarter? What were the opportunity dollars tied to that? So that way you can plan out your campaigns with an idea of what dollar amount of lead you're bringing in, so you can intelligently fill that funnel and optimize from there. And we're getting a little more sophisticated with that.
But I like it.
But that's how you should, right. That's how it should always start. That's where it should lead to, I guess I should say.
Agreed. Well, then you could even backtrack it from there and go, oh, okay, if we want to close X amount of deals this quarter, okay, how many leads is that? Okay, how many eyeballs do we need to get? Like, you could back it from the sales objectives and see if that's feasible, which would be then all tied together and really smart. Okay. Well, next question here. Dear BAMf. Dear BAMf gurus, I'm a team of 1 on the marketing team at my startup. We recently received an impressive amount of funding. And though I have built a marketing team from scratch before my other startup 9 years ago, I'm feeling rusty. I'm at a B2B fintech company for context, and we sell to enterprise mid to large banks. Now that I've been here a year and we've secured this funding, I now have the green light to hire a few people. What do you think I should be prioritizing? Ooh, how lucky for this person, though.
I know. I love this question. Okay.
Yes.
So first, I would look at because you've been doing everything yourself over the last year. So be selfish for a minute and think about, what do I need to do the classic stop, start, keep doing exercise? Put a couple bullets in there. And when you have your keep doings, which ones are taking up the most of your time? Because now I'm assuming, moving into some sort of managerial role where strategy is going to become more of your focus versus a lot of the tactical things. So think about what resources you need for that. And you'll already have a value of, like, how is this helping the business from your stop, start, keep doing exercise? You'll know what you need to be doing to hit your goals. Is where I see a lot of startups struggle, is they'll say, okay, well, I got my funding, so now I need a graphic designer, a digital marketer, a content marketer. And it's like, well, you don't know you need all those things.
So true.
Individually right away.
So true.
And then you have this graphic designer who's awesome, but who's going to put it on the website? Who's going to whip up the landing pages? And that takes a lot of time. And if you are leading a team, you are going to have to play defense for your team. You're going to have to motivate your team, lead the charge. And you can't be doing that if you're spending 5 hours a day building out emails and landing pages. You need someone that can help do that. So that's where I would start, and seeing where you can need help.
I love the exercise. We do that at BAM for all kinds of departments and the company and all these things of like, okay, start, stop, and continue on. And I like the thought of, okay, if you want to start something, okay, that's going to take how much of your time? Great. Therefore, what is falling off? Because I think a problem that happens a lot of times with the team of one, island of one, even if you have done it before elsewhere with more than yourself, you get sucked into the, well, I'll just do it. Okay, I can just do that. Oh, it's easy. Let me just do that. Oh, and then all those grand plans you had to execute a big thing, for example, is stunted because you got 17 other things you're trying to execute. It's a really common thing we see a lot. So I like the start, the stop, let's continue, build it out from there. Unfortunately, I think, I know we know this is B2B tech and it's fintech, but we don't have a laundry list of first hire your content marketer and then hire your growth hacker. No, it's not going to be like that. It's more in the lens of what are those priorities and what do you want to offload yourself?
Right. Exactly. Because then you'll get burnt out.
That's right.
You don't want that.
We don't want that. No, especially when this person says they were at their other startup 9 years ago. So hopefully you had an exit, but you're now back at this one. So yeah, you want to avoid that burnout. Well, our last question, Liz, is, Dear BAMf, I am working on a major funding announcement for our client that will bring them to unicorn status. Ooh, isn't that great? The investors are adamant that the valuation should not be included in the release as it does not hold weight. In order to hook media, is it necessary to include valuation? If yes, can you share some tips on how to position to the investors? So the investors don't want the value. I've never heard of this before. Liz, what's your take?
Well, so usually when this comes up with any of my clients, I'm like, oh, you should talk to the internal person at the studio about that. I don't know. Because this is always so hard. There's there's a really good Silicon Valley episode on this.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. There is.
It's just that show, we just rewatched it over quarantine last summer. I mean,
wait, is there another one coming out? I mean, obviously they got acquired. Well, I shouldn't. Okay. Spoiler alerts.
Right.
Is there another season?
I wish.
God.
No, it's done.
Oh.
It's done. But it was just so good because it was like, you're actually speaking to people who are it was so accurate sometimes that it would stress me out. And I'd be like, I can't watch this right now.
Me too.
No, this is way too real. This is coming from, I guess I'll speak from the lens of, I'll bring up my husband again because he's lived that life.
Yeah.
And they were very fortunate to where their investors and their board were very adamant from day one, and they ran very lean. They chose people that were really, really supportive and actual true partners in helping with those decisions. So it was a lot of, I know this isn't the answer they're probably looking for,
okay.
But if you have that type of support, that answer is very obvious. I don't know. And again, I don't have a ton of experience in advising on that with press releases, but I would say lean on your board, lean on your advisors, because that's, in a dream state, that's what they're supposed to be helping with, right? I know that's not a great answer, but this isn't my...
Well, I do agree, though. Unfortunately, you are beholden to those who have given you millions of dollars here. So there's only so much that you can do. But I will say, increasingly, at least when we work with VCs, which is rare, but a lot of times they're hands off because it's like, hey, here's this money. Oh, you want to do a press release or you want to get it out there? Oh, okay. Maybe that they can get on some press pieces if they can, but other times it's quite not. It is common, I will say. We just had this happen this week where one of our funds didn't even mention it on a call at all, and one of their companies just did a big Series C round. And it was definitely a momentous thing and all this stuff. They didn't even tell us, the PR team, because I don't think they even knew necessarily what it is. Now, they were investors in an early round. So sometimes as you get up the chain, you're not the lead investor. You're a smaller check. You're small on the cap table. So there's that. But the point is, a lot of times you're going to have to go with the investors. And what I would maybe poke in on this is what is the why further? That to me is a bit suspicious because valuation is just fantasy. It means really
Right.
nothing. It's just, what is the value of the reason you put the check amount in for? So if you gave you 100 million, well, do I think you're worth 120 million, or do I think you're worth $1.1 billion? Well, I can tell you right now, it's not because they think you're worth 120 million. That'd be pathetic of a roll of a dice. So a bit with this, as I'm talking about it more, is there's already natural interpretation of this. If VCs are funding at a 10x and it's fantasy anyway, the valuation is a bit mute, but also it could be speculated regardless. So I don't even think you necessarily need to have a battle here of what this means necessarily. But the fact is, the investors gave you X number of dollars. And from the X number of dollars, which is concrete, which is factual, it can be interpreted what that valuation is very easily. I would use that to argue with the investors, or bring to the investors as like, it's kind of already interpreted anyway. So why don't we include this? And frankly, Who cares if it's 1.31 billion or 1.32? Doesn't really matter, because it's fictional anyway. So it's this is a silly situation in a way. But I'm wondering, like, why? What is going on here? Mm-hmm. More to discuss. Hopefully, this person, you said, well, it's your client. Hopefully, you have a good relationship or a powerful relationship where you can push on this a bit more and investigate as to the why. Because it's a little weird.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Was it the consultant asking this question?
Yeah, well, yes. For our client that will bring them to unicorn status.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So my advice wasn't the best.
That's all right.
Regardless, whatever. Additional perspective. If the client's listening, that may be more helpful to you.
Yeah. Oh, Liz, those are all the problems we have for today. There's never an end, of course. But thank you for hopping on here. Congrats on your third one on the way.
Thank you.
COVID baby.
I
love it. I love it. And God, you know what? I just started Googling, why did Silicon Valley stop? And there's an article. Oh, wait, now I got to pull it back up. They were just saying, the creator of the show said it said part of Judge and Berg's reason for ending the series was the serious turn certain tech companies have taken in recent years. And they said, when we started out, it was absurd in more of a funny way, but it has gotten a little more serious now. Ooh, damn. That's true.
I would say he's not wrong. Because I think it's the pilot. It's one of my favorite pilots where they have Kid Rock playing at like some startup event.
Yes. No one's there. Dancing. No one cares.
And it's like, it was like, yeah, that's what it was like. It was just kind of absurd. And there still is so much money flying around that people were spending it on like sometimes the dumbest shit. It was wild. But yeah, that show is just, it is just so funny.
It's a classic.
That's a good one.
It is. I need a new one. I hope I'm going to think about one. Maybe it could be about, an agency working with all these crazy startup companies. I thought about that, but we don't have a lot of drama. See, we're kind of boring, I think.
Well, because and I'm saying this because I would believe myself to be one of you guys. You're get shit doners. You're too busy doing things.
Yeah.
Not that startup people are not, or tech people are not, but just in like an agency, you're hitting deadlines 24/7.
It's not frivolousness at all. Yeah. Yeah. Plus, I have to say, and I've said this many times, we have a lot of parents here, a lot of moms in particular. You want people to get things done, hire a mom. Hire parents.
Amen.
It is true. No one beats the efficiency of moms, in my opinion. I wish people knew this more.
It's absolutely true, because it's like, okay, what time is it here? I have 4 hours till I pick my kids up.
You're going to get it done.
That's it. I got 4 hours. That's it.
Yep. You will get it
I got 4 hours and 2 months before this third baby pops out.
There you go.
So we got things to do. I'm the most productive when...
Exactly. It's a productivity hack in an interesting way.
Every pregnancy, I have a big project. If I have a big script I want to finish, I finish my script. I get whatever house thing I needed done, big project.
You get it done.
We got a timeline, or it's just not going to happen, because then you're not sleeping for 100 days or more. And
oh God,
the 100 Days of Darkness is one of my girlfriends calls it.
Oh wow. Oh God. Well, good luck, Liz. Thank you again. And congrats on your growing agency once again.
Thank you. Thanks for
Slash
having
consultancy.
me. It's been great.
Yes.
Slash consultancy.
There you
Yes.
go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz.
Thanks for listening to Dear BAMf, the advice podcast for PR and marketing pros like you. Our show was created by BAM, a PR and marketing agency headquartered in San Diego and New York City. The music you're enjoying today was composed by Tiffany Dizon, produced by Daniel Kessner, and played by San Diego Symphony's Art of Valon. If you have a tough PR and marketing question you'd like us to answer, write to us at bamtheagency.com/Dear BAMf. Don't forget the F. If you'd like to get notified of our latest episodes, subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.